Across Europe, thousands of children are being forced onto the streets to beg and steal. They come from the poorest community in Europe, the Romanian gypsies. As I head back to my hotel, I see a girl hanging around the cash machine. She's no older than 13. At first sight, she appears to be begging, but actually, she's watching customers as they enter their PIN and approaches them as they're about to withdraw money. A police car drives by and she flees. We follow. She's using a piece of paper to cover her hand as she tries to press the button for the highest sum available on the cash machine and take the money as it comes out. She's a distraction thief, one of the gypsy children that the police say make up a third of all the under 17-year-olds they have to deal with in the city. We monitor the bus stop. Every day, we see children arriving with the women who beg in the city. One day, I see a girl who lives in the camp, wandering by herself in the center of Madrid. She looks about 13. I watch as she targets a woman at the cash machine and nearly succeeds in stealing her money. It takes 4 passers-by to stop her. The girl steals a scarf right in front of me and disguises herself. Then, she hangs around a number of cash machines, ready to pounce. A security guard from the bank calls the police. They arrive swiftly. But after talking to her for a few minutes, they let her go. She skips off and waves to the security guard. I've spoken to the Madrid Police Department that deals with child crime. 95% of the children under the age of 14 they pick up for stealing in Madrid are Romanian gypsies. The police say there's not much they can do, as in Spain, children of this age cannot be held responsible for their crimes. I take a chance and approach her.
To beg, to steal. What we can't steal. From cash machines. Who says we can't steal? So what if they look me up? Big deal. You put in your card, you type in your PIN, you take the card, we take the money. We take the money and come home. 400, 300, 600, sometimes €1,000. When you go begging, you work until 10 at night and you make 50, 60 and you come home. But when you steal, you make 300 in one go. It's easier. What? Stealing? It's not dangerous. Seriously, it's only the police that catch us. They take the money, they take us to the day centre, and the centre lets us go.
They're minors. If they're under 14, they don't do anything to them.
I give it to my mother so we can build a house in Romania. But I hide some of it for myself. I give her 150 and I keep 150.
Suddenly, an argument breaks out, and they turn against me. It's time for me to leave. It's becoming dangerous. They're bold in their attacks, and do not seem to care if their target is much stronger. This man has to physically fight them off before they finally leave. I wonder what makes them so fearless. The knowledge that they cannot be punished, or the desperation to make back the money. They split up into pairs. We watch as one of the pairs target a cash machine. One of the boys looks about 12, the other one as young as 8. They try to rob an elderly customer. These boys are aggressive. They don't stop until passers-by intervene. When I see them acting like this, my first reaction is anger, but then I remember that they are just young children. A few minutes later, they are at it again. The older boy pushes the younger one towards the customer, but the man, who's twice their size, pushes him back. They give up. These children are under enormous pressure to make money. They're gutsy and daring, and they're ready to take on and defy even strong young men. When passers-by approach, they pretend to beg. This is well rehearsed, and they're probably trained to act like this. I'm meeting up with the deputy mayor of Milan, Riccardo Decorato, who has led the city's controversial crackdown on gypsy crime.
A strong response would be to kick out Romania from the European Union and consider Romania outcast. Do you believe it could be done? It's impossible. Today the EU is expanding.
Decorato expresses opinions that would be unthinkable for politicians in most European countries.
The Roma don't really know the meaning of work because we always find them in the camps. They send the women to work and prostitute themselves, and the children are sent to steal. Also, if you went now to any of the camps, you would just find men playing cards. So someone tell me how I can possibly explain to these people the concept of work, when their concept of life is without work, and the work is left to women and children instead.
Non hanno il lavoro, ma il lavoro lo fanno fare a donne e bambini.
So it follows that it's not us being racist, but it's them who don't know how to be in our society.
Saper stare in una società.
I'm here to meet up with a powerful leader of the gypsy underworld. The neighborhood where he lives is home to over 10,000 gypsies. Most of them belong to one clan, the thieves.
So we're going into this room, which is specially made like a museum of photos. Here are all my relatives. That's my father, one of the greatest gypsy leaders of Craiova, and he was part of the clan of the best thieves. I'm part of this family that occupies itself with stealing.
His nickname is Brilliant, and for him, stealing is a profession that has been passed on from generation to generation. Having come from a long line of thieves, Brilliant has a special insight into the history of gypsy crime.
When did the Romani gypsies from Romania start going west?
I can't remember exactly, but in any case, between 1980 and 1989, they earned quickly because, having escaped a communist country, they had the right to asylum and residency in those countries. And they came back with special cars and built outstanding houses, and they came back to use the power that they had. And they said, whoever goes to these countries gets rich.
Să vedem mai de aproape situația. Crescut pe această stradă.
I grew up on this street.
Și la vârsta de 13-14
At the age of 12 or 14, I started pickpocketing to contribute to help my grandparents because my parents and my uncles had been arrested.
Pentru că erau arestați.
When Brilliant was a child, this district was dirt poor. But at the beginning of the 90s, when the gypsies from here went to the west to steal and beg, the neighborhood started to pick up.
When they saw this possibility of making money, at a certain point they no longer wanted to go begging themselves. Because the truth is that when someone has a lot of money, they begin having character, dignity, and they're ashamed to steal and to beg. And then, in order to keep making money, and under the pretense that they want to help others, they try to persuade them to go and beg. Look there. What a house. What a courtyard. This guy's called Philip. He initiated many departures. He opened the roads, as they say, in a few countries. England, Ireland, France, Germany, Canada, Australia, America. He got to Australia, yes. And that house, this house, and this house are all his. There's no need for him to go abroad anymore, because he makes his money as a loan shark.
In the last 20 years, the neighborhood has flourished. And nowadays, every street here has dozens of imposing villas that Brilliant says are built from the proceeds of crime abroad.
Look at this house. Now, there's a guy who stayed for a long time in Italy, probably for 15 years. He begged, he stole, he made a lot of money, and he sent it home and started lending it with interest. These two houses belong to Maruzzi in Calistrada. Calistrada is my first cousin. They sorted themselves out financially in England, and a large part of this fortune was made from stealing. In England, yes.
Many of Brilliant's neighbors have been lifted out of poverty, but he thinks that the level of criminal greed has gone too far. He advocates a return to the old days.
They stole because it was a necessity. They didn't steal to make fortunes or turn it into a business as they do nowadays.